This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Diane Roberts. After being held 10 months in Russia, Brittany Griner has returned to American soil. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani.
Griner landed this morning at a Texas military base, where White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says wife Cherelle Griner was waiting.
U.S. officials who met her on the ground said she was in very good spirits, appears to be in good health.
It's unclear when Griner will head home to Arizona, or whether she'll return to the Phoenix Mercury, her WNBA team. Coach Vanessa Nygaard says they'll give Griner space during her transition, but when she's ready.
I mean, hopefully it's a big hug and just how much we love you and how happy we are to have you back, and just a lot of love.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says more U.S.-Russian prisoner exchanges are possible if Moscow and Washington find a compromise. The AP's Charles de Ledesma reports.
Asked whether other prisoners could be swapped, Russia's president said everything is possible, noting that compromises have been found that cleared the way for the Griner exchange. Putin added, "We aren't refusing to continue this work in the future," making his first comments about the closely watched trade. Despite negotiating for Griner's release, the most high-profile American jailed abroad, the U.S. has failed to win freedom for another American, Paul Whelan. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The White House said Friday U.S. President Joe Biden, at a summit next week, will back a permanent spot for the African Union in the group of 20 major economies seeking to elevate the continent's role. Mr. Biden will make the announcement during a 3-day U.S.-Africa summit that opens Tuesday in Washington. This is VOA News. U.S. Senator Kyrsten Sinema has decided to shift from the Democratic to the Independent Party. At a news conference Friday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the administration is not bothered by the move.
We don't see a change in the Democratic majority, and so we see this as a decision that she has made, but we do not see a change in our Democratic majority.
Meanwhile, Republican organizers are starting to reconsider the party's resistance to mail-in ballots. AP correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Got to be careful with those ballots. Watch those ballots.
When former President Donald Trump condemned mail-in voting in 2020, conservatives began to shy away from it.
They're unsolicited millions being sent to everybody.
But Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel said on Fox News this week that Republican voters need to cast ballots early. Beyond the challenges of COVID-19, ballot glitches, long lines, or bad weather on Election Day, giving Democrats a multi-week jump on voting makes it more difficult for Republican candidates to catch up. In Georgia's Senate runoff, Democrat Raphael Warnock topped Herschel Walker by an almost 2-to-1 ratio in mailed ballots. Tea Party organizer Debbie Dooley is a Trump loyalist, but says the midterms were the last straw. The GOP has got to put a priority on competing with Democrats from the start, she says, and beat them at their own game. Jennifer King, Washington.
The UN Security Council has overwhelmingly approved a resolution exempting humanitarian aid from all current and future UN sanctions regimes, a vote that the United States hailed as historic that will save lives and address long-standing problems of sanctions impeding aid deliveries. The resolution was immediately hailed by humanitarian organizations, including the International Committee of the Red Cross and the Norwegian Refugee Council. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi vowed on Friday to press on with a security crackdown on protesters, a day after the execution of a man over recent anti-government unrest that drew Western condemnation. Nationwide protests that erupted after the death in police custody of a 22-year-old Kurdish Iranian woman September 16th pose one of the biggest challenges to rule in Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Argentina has beat the Netherlands in a penalty shootout in the early hours of Saturday after a dramatic 2-2 draw to reach the World Cup semifinals. They will play Croatia, who knocked out Brazil by beating the 5-time champions 4-2, also in a penalty shootout in the quarterfinals. From Washington, via remote, I'm Diane Roberts, VOA News.
Hi, thank you for watching. I hope the videos are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel using the button below.